PFL versus Bellator. It is finally happening. I mean, this has been something that's been talked about for the longest time since the rumor started, I think a year and a half ago that Bellator was going under, and it finally is. The PFL has bought Bellator, and this is the card they have produced. I think they've done well for the names that they do have. Obviously, some fights have fallen out. Magomed Karamov will no longer be fighting Jason Jackson. The fight between Patricio Pitbull and Jesus Pinedo has now fallen through with the Pinedo injury. I am hoping that they get a replacement for Pinedo to fight Pitbull. I think there's a chance if they can't get anybody, they're just going to bump Braga up to the fight with Pinedo, and then Aaron Pico might get stuck without a fight. I'm hoping instead they keep the Braga-Pico fight and they just call in like a Bubba Jenkins or a Brendan Loughnane or a Hobulev or even Chris Wade, one of those guys to go out there and fight Patricio Pitbull, because I feel like it's a big fight for the PFL. It's a fight that I think is kind of winnable for them. Now, I will be completely transparent with you. If that fight was going to happen, Pitbull-Pinedo, I was actually going to pick Patricio Pitbull. I think a lot of people were siding with Pinedo. I was actually going to go with Pitbull in that fight, but let's do it, man. 11 fights in this card. PFL versus Bellator sees the throne champions from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And folks, if you haven't yet, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more MMA here on the channel. We do UFC, PFL, Bellator, because Bellator, I guess, is sticking around, but this is just a PFL and Bellator card. And also on the channel, posted yesterday, UFC Mexico predictions with Brandon Moreno and Brandon Royval in the main event, their rematch, and the co-main event rematch between Brian Ortega and Yair Rodriguez. Link is in the description down below, alongside all of the timestamps for every single individual fight on this 11-fight card. Some of these fights, this is classic PFL here. I mean, we're just going to get through these pretty quickly. The first fight, it's an amateur fight, so, I mean, just take this with a complete grain of salt. You've got Malik Basahel taking on Vinicius Pereira. There's there's only actually one amateur fight on this card. So again, I don't know much about these guys, and I don't think anyone really knows much about these guys. This guy, Malik Basahel, is 17-2-1 in the amateur ranks. Again, amateur MMA, if you don't know, it doesn't count, obviously, with your professional record. And a lot of MMA fighters, a lot of guys who are out of competition now, like Daniel Cormier, Michael Bisping, are big advocates for this, and get as many amateur fights as you can before you turn pro, because none of these really matter at the end of the day. You don't take as much damage in these fights due to certain rule sets. So again, it is important that you fight as many of these as possible before you turn pro. Malik Basahel is 22 years old. Vinicius Pereira is 19 years old. Gonna go with the 22-year-old fighter. You got a guy who's had 20 amateur fights against a guy who's had 5 amateur fights. And again, you're 19 years old, 5 amateur fights. Likely you haven't had that much experience. Again, I don't believe there's going to be any odds on this. So again, this is why I'm not taking that much time on this. I'll take the guy who's got 20 amateur fights from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and Malik Basahel. Give me Basahel to win the fight. I like him to take it by decision. This one is an amateur fight at flyweight, so it is what it is. Let's just move on to our next one here. Let's get into the real fights. So the pro fight, starting with Abdullah Al-Qahtani versus Rao in this fight. I'm not going to try that first name. Konaldala, I don't know. This is an Abdullah Al-Qahtani victory here. Al-Qahtani is a guy who has been in the PFL before. He's won 2 fights in the PFL. You look back to last year winning 2 in 2023. The first one by a rear naked choke, finished in the first round over Lamar Brown, and then a win over David Zellner by unanimous decision 2 months later. This guy's 7-1 professionally. Again, PFL builds up these guys, these prospects that they want to do well by giving them cans. This is what they're doing with Abdullah Al-Qahtani here. Qahtani's only losses in Brave back in 2022. He loses it by split decision. But the guy is 2-0 in PFL. He's taken on Rao here, who is 30 years old. He is a 5'8" lightweight fighting out of India. He's coming off a loss to a guy making his professional MMA debut in Matrix Fight League, which I believe is an Indian promotion? I do not know. It's live on Disney Plus. Wait, what? I'm not familiar, I'll be honest with you. I believe this is an Indian promotion, but nonetheless, I don't think this Rao dude's very good. Al-Qahtani's here to stomp him. That's what's going to happen. Give me Abdullah Al-Qahtani to win the fight by unanimous decision. Okay, next up, we've got Clarissa Shields taking on Kelsey DeSantis. Claressa Shields is back, and if you don't know who Claressa Shields is, she is an all-time great female boxer, and I'm not going to pretend like I know a lot about women's boxing. I just don't, all right? But I do know that Claressa Shields is very good, and that's what the PFL has told me. Now, I don't really care about her boxing. I know she's a good boxer, and I know that's going to be applied into MMA. That's fine. We are talking about mixed martial arts, though. Like, again, we've seen boxers go to MMA before, and they have not done well. James Toney is your prime example of that. Remember that guy? He came into the UFC, fought Randy Couture, got dominated. That was one of the first fights I remember as a kid, was Randy Couture beating the ever-living hell out of James Toney. Good times. Anyways, only to watch Randy Couture at the time, who was maybe my favorite fighter, get front kicked in the face by Lyoto Machida, and I was really young watching that. That was a scarring experience. Anyways, and Randy Couture is like 48, or at the time, he was old, I remember. Anyways, as a kid, I tended to remember the James Toney fight more than the Lyoto Machida fight. Anyways, Claressa Shields is fighting again. Now, okay, if you don't know Claressa Shields' first run in the PFL, I guess this is still the same run, but the last two fights, and the only two fights she's had in the PFL or in professional MMA, came in 2021. The first one, she beats Brittany Elkin. Okay, they main event a fight night over this. This goes over Bubba Jenkins. This goes over Brendan Loughnane. This goes over Natan Schultz, OAM. All those guys are undercard to Claressa Shields versus Brittany Elkin. Brittany Elkin, who is 3-6. Shields loses the first two rounds, has to come back and barely wins the fight. Well, no, doesn't barely win the fight. She wins it by stoppage, but Elkin tires. Shields wins the fight. That's great. She comes back 2021, 4 months later, Abby Montez. They made a mistake by giving her Abby Montez. Why? Because Abby Montez is a legitimate mixed martial arts fighter. Now, Montez might not be the greatest. She's 4-3, and she just lost her last fight to Michelle Montague in the PFL undercard for the 2023 playoffs card, the 9th one, which is the last playoff card before the championship round. That's besides the point. She loses to Montez by split decision. It wasn't that close. I thought Montez won the fight pretty handedly. Now, Claressa Shields is now getting Kelsey DeSantis. I don't think the PFL is making the mistake that they did last time that, we're going to give her an actual MMA fighter like Abby Montez. No, we're going to give her Kelsey DeSantis. Kelsey DeSantis is 1-2. She's got 2 losses to start off her professional MMA career. One in 2013, and then another one in 2023. In September of 2023, she comes back in October, a month later, and wins. I don't know what to make of this. She's an MMA Masters fighter. If you don't know where MMA Masters is or what it is, it's a Miami-based camp. Really good jiu-jitsu camp. Cesar Carniero, Daniel Valverde. This is Colby Covington's gym. Elliot Taporia cross-trains here sometimes. Nate Landwehr. Ricardo Lamas was one of the original guys I remember from this one. But like Colby's here. Baeza, Godimbo are his training partners at this camp. It's not a bad camp. It's really not. That's where Kelsey DeSantis has come from. Now, I think the MMA Masters guys are going to have her prepared to take down Claressa Shields and try to get her down. My question is, can she get her down? I don't know. I don't know how much Claressa Shields has really been training mixed martial arts, let's be honest. I think, though, the PFL's got to know what they're doing. They're not going to let Claressa Shields lose back-to-back fights, and there's a reason they picked Kelsey DeSantis. It's because they think that Claressa Shields can run right over her. I'm not completely sure where this fight's being contested at, like how much, like the pounds. Tapology has 155. PFL's website is catch weight, but no weight listed. I saw on Twitter that this fight might be at 162 pounds, and Kelsey DeSantis was going after Shields for not being able to make 155. So I think it's at 162. I don't know. I really don't. For reference, Shields' last boxing fight last year was at 160 pounds. It was a fight where she was a minus 5,000 favorite in. Before that, 160, I believe. Yeah, she usually fights at female middleweight, which is 160 pounds. So I would assume this would be around the 162 mark. Shields is going to win, though, and I really don't have much else to say. I think Shields is going to win the fight by second round TKO. I don't think DeSantis is able to get her down. All right, now we go to the professional MMA debut of Baggio Ali Walsh. She'll be taking on Emmanuel Palacio in this one. Baggio Ali Walsh is going to win the fight by first round knockout. Now, the PFL has been building Baggio Ali Walsh up since 2022. He has been on all the undercards. He's been fighting amateur fights, and he's been winning amateur fights. Every win he has is by knockout. Only 2 of them have got into the second round. They know what they're doing. Again, the PFL, we've seen it in the Al-Qahtani fight. That's likely, I think, what they're looking at for Malik Bashel in the first amateur fight. Clarissa Shields. This is what they're doing again. This is a tune-up fight, and this is not even a tune-up fight. It is a squash match, as we'd say in the world of professional wrestling. This is a can fight. Emmanuel Palacio is 1-0 as a professional MMA fighter. He's from Argentina. He's 19 years old. He's already pro. This guy, again, Baggio Ali Walsh fights 155 pounds. This guy is 5'7". For reference, I believe Brandon Royval is 5'7", and he is fighting at flyweight. This is a small 155-pounder. Baggio Ali Walsh is going to be the way bigger fighter. He's not incredibly huge for 155, but he's at least 5'10". He's going to have the reach advantage. Again, they picked this guy at Emmanuel Palacio to fight Baggio Ali Walsh, so Baggio Ali Walsh can win. Give me Ali Walsh. Again, he is the grandson of Muhammad Ali. He's going to win. He's going to pick up a huge first-round knockout in his first ever professional MMA fight. Let's get on it to now the PFL versus Bellator portion of the video. I am so excited. Gabriel Alves Braga taking on Aaron Pico. I think this is a fight Aaron Pico is going to win. I really think it is. Braga, if you didn't see Braga's run in the PFL in 2023, he goes 4-1. This is a guy who has to fight on the Challenger Series, which is basically the PFL's version of the Contender Series. That's where Kasanganay came from, who we're going to talk about later. But Braga beats a PFL vet in Ago Husic in his first fight by decision. Then he goes out and he beats Jesus Pinedo by split decision in the first fight of the 2023 regular season. Yes, that Jesus Pinedo, who was supposed to fight Patricio Pitbull. Then he goes on and he knocks out Marlon Moraes. Now, again, a lot of guys would knock out the version of Marlon Moraes that showed up in the PFL, as my camera is, I guess, adjusting. I don't know what's going on. But anyways, he makes the playoffs. He was supposed to fight Mavlid Habilev. Habilev doesn't show up to the scales usually, doesn't really show up to fight night often. Then he goes out and he beats Chris Wade by split decision in the first round of the playoffs. So then he beats Wade. It was a close fight. I thought Braga got the nod. I picked Wade going into the week, but Braga gets the decision, and then he goes in and he loses the rematch to Jesus Pinedo, and it showed really how good Pinedo is. That fight was 3 months ago. He got knocked out in that fight. It was a standing TKO, but he took some damn damage in that one. That was Braga's last fight. Now you're getting a guy in Aaron Pico, who I'm not going to go through Pico's whole backstory about how he was a very hyped-up prospect for Bellator. Then he goes and he loses his first fight, but then he picks up some wins, then gets knocked out by Henry Corrales. No. And he loses to Adam Borch, whatever. Pico has gotten better. He is a much improved fighter since we first saw him in Bellator. He's 12-4. He's from Jackson Wink. Pico is an all-around good fighter who's really coming into his own. I truly believe that. Pico is becoming a lot better. He beat Pedro Carvalho in his last fight. He beat James Gonzalez before that. This is a fight Pico's going to go in there and absolutely dominate Braga. I think this is bad matchmaking in the PFL's end of things here. Again, the PFL, don't you want to make yourselves look strong? Don't you want to make your fighters look good? I would think. I like the PFL, I really do. I don't think this is the fight I don't think this is the fight that's going to make your guys look strong. I really don't think it is. Because Pico has such an advantage on the feet here, I think so. Like, I think Braga is decent, but in terms of, okay, Braga took a lot of damage 3 months ago, and Pico throws hard, and Pico hits hard. This is a tough fight for Braga. I'm taking Aaron Pico by first-round knockout. I don't think there's much controversy in this pick. I think Pico gets it. I think it's a very tough fight for the PFL to start off. And now we go to our next one. Team PFL will send out Clay Collard versus AJ McKee. I'm taking the Bellator guy again. I'm taking AJ McKee. I think McKee is better than Clay Collard. I don't think that goes without saying. I think Collard is going to give him a fight, obviously. Clay Collard, if you don't know, really good boxer. He's a former professional boxer. He's going to go out there and he's going to swing. AJ McKee, though, is going to have a very good advantage on the ground and on the feet as well. I think McKee is going to be able to mix it up well with him, too. I don't think AJ McKee's in that much danger in this fight. I'll just say it. I don't think he is. Clay Collard lost his fight for the PFL championship, and that's another thing. These PFL guys just fought 3 months ago. All of them. Because all of them had to fight on the championship card, except for, well, no, Ray Cooper fought too. He fought Derek Brunson. All of these guys, except for Thiago Santos, just fought. These Bellator guys, I know McKee fought 3 months ago too, but still, you're going to get guys like Yoel Romero, who hasn't fought in a while. Santos hasn't fought either in a while too, but like Vadim Nemkov hasn't fought in a while, right? And Bruno Cappelozza hasn't fought either. I forgot. He got suspended. Still though, like Kasanganay, Johnny Eblen is probably the best example of this, right? Eblen fought like 5 months ago. Kasanganay fought 3 months ago. It's just a big thing when most of these guys for the PFL have to fight 5-round fights for world championships, right? And I know Bellator guys are fighting for the world championship too, but it's just, man, like this is a quick turnaround for some of these guys. And Clay Collard just fought in a 5-round world championship fight 3 months ago against Oliver Aben-Mercier, which he lost. Now you turn him around quick against AJ McKee, who's coming off a win over Sidney Outlaw by unanimous decision. Before that, he beats Roberto de Souza over in that Bellator Rising co-promoted card, and then he beats Spike Carlisle before that. The only loss AJ McKee has in 22 professional fights is to Patricio Pitbull. The guy is very good. I think he's going to give Collard a lot of problems on the ground. I think he's going to be able to get Collard down. I think there's a chance McKee's able to get a submission. I'm not going to pick that, though, because I think Collard is going to be able to stay in the fight. But on the feet, man, I like AJ McKee a lot in this one. I really do think he's going to surprise some people. I really think this card is going to show, I don't want to say the discrepancy in talent between the PFL and Bellator, but I just think that a lot of these Bellator top guys are better than the top guys in the PFL. I think that's something that's tough for the PFL, considering they're the one promoting this card that's going on their platform on ESPN+. But I just feel like Bellator's guys are slightly better. I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong. But I like AJ McKee a lot in this fight. AJ McKee's going to win this one by unanimous decision. Let's go on to our next one. Thiago Santos, Yoel Romero. Santos has only had one fight in the PFL. He's lost it. Yoel Romero is 2-2 in Bellator. Losses to Phil Davis and Vadim Nemkov. Wins over Alex Polizzi and Melvin Manoff. For Thiago Santos, he's 40 years old, and yeah, Romero's 46, but still, both these guys are older veterans. Who has looked better at their age, though? It's Yoel Romero. Romero has aged a lot better than Thiago Santos. Let's just be honest. Thiago Santos, guys, hasn't won a fight since 2021, where he beat Johnny Walker in a 5-round decision. Before that, his last win's in 2019. That's difficult. Right, he lost to Rob Wilkinson. That fight got overturned, but he still lost to Wilkinson. He was supposed to fight Mohamed Fakhrudin in his second fight in the PFL. He got suspended because he popped for whatever drug. I don't know. He popped for something, though. He's now getting Yoel Romero. This feels like a fight that Yoel Romero is going to win. Again, Bellator with this would go to 3-0. They would go to 3-0, but Yoel Romero at 46 is better than Thiago Santos at 40. That's just the way I see it. Romero has been a lot more competitive against tougher guys than what Santos has been. Well, okay, Santos has, I wouldn't say tougher level of opponent, but still, because Santos' last 2 fights in the UFC were Magomed Ankalaev and Jamal Hill, which, okay, if he never had the Rob Wilkinson fight, I'd be like, all right, well, maybe he's, he just took on some tough guys over in the UFC. Well, he lost to Wilkinson. I would have liked to see him against Fakhrudin to give me a better, gauge on where I think this fight's going to go. Because, again, Santos is now, because I would have seen him against the guy he's supposed to be and seen his skills at 40 years old. I just don't know how good Santos is, considering, again, he lost both of his knees in the John Jones fight. He tore his MCL in both knees in that fight. He lost to Glover Teixeira right after. He lost to Alexander Rakic, beat Walker, lost to Ankalaev, lost to Hill, lost to Rob Wilkinson. Don't get me wrong, those UFC guys are very good. Teixeira, Rakic, Ankalaev, Hill, those are all great fighters. Don't get me wrong. It's just that Santos hasn't been all that competitive recently. Ankalaev, I guess he did drop Ankalaev, but Jamal Hill looked very good in the fight with Santos. And Santos just looked slow in the Wilkinson fight. He couldn't get going in that one. And that's why I think this fight's going to be very tough for Thiago Santos, because I know Yoel Romero is going to bring it. Romero's got the power. Don't get me wrong, Santos has a lot of power too, but I think Soldier of God wins this one. I'm taking Yoel Romero. I know he didn't look great in the Nemkov fight. He was a big underdog for a reason, but he looked good in the Manoff fight, looked good in the Polizzi fight. I'm going to take Yoel Romero to win this one. PFL 0-3, and I don't think they're going to get one here either. Vadim Nemkov, Bruno Cappelozza. This is so interesting because Nemkov's going up to heavyweight, which is really odd. I didn't think this was going to happen. I thought Nemkov was going to be fighting Impa Kasanganay on this card. Instead, Nemkov is going to go up to 265 pounds. They give him Bruno Cappelozza. Okay, yeah. Cappelozza, the former PFL champ. He fought Matus Scheffel on the second card of 2023 for the PFL. It got overturned, of course, to a no contest. Again, Cappelozza, the former champion, looked good in 2021 was when he won the championship. Didn't make the playoffs in 2022 because he lost his second fight to Matus Scheffel. But in 2021, he looked good. He beat Ante Dillia twice, beat Mo Reese, Jamel Jones. That's great and all, but okay, Vadim Nemkov's very good. This guy's not lost since 2016. He hasn't. I mean, he lost to Yuri Prochazka back in 2015 in Ryzen, but the guy's not lost a fight in Bellator. Now, I know, again, he was on the brink of losing the fight to Corey Anderson in 2022, the first one, until the clash of heads, but then he, undid his wrongs in the rematch, and he won by decision. Now we're going to see Corey Anderson in the Bellator championship fight against Carl Moore next month, which is going to be interesting in Ireland. But Nemkov has vacated, I guess, the 205 championship. He's fighting at heavyweight now. Maybe he's chasing Bader again because he's already beat Bader. But yeah, I think Nemkov's going to beat Cappelozza. I think he's way better on the feet. This is going to be a stand-up fight. And I think the biggest thing that Nemkov's going to have to deal with is going to be the power adjustment, because there's going to be more power, obviously, from Cappelozza at 265 pounds, because Cappelozza is a big guy, but he's not one of the bigger guys that the PFL's got at heavyweight. Like, Hernan Ferreira is 6'8", 6'9". Ante Delia, I believe, is like 6'5", right? Yeah, he's 6'5". Like, PFL's got some huge heavyweights. Cappelozza really isn't that. Cappelozza fought Yuri Prohashka back in the day and Rising in 2018 at 205 pounds. Like, again, Cappelozza is a light heavyweight that has evolved into a heavyweight. That's kind of what Nemkov's doing. So that's why I think this is an easy adjustment up to heavyweight for Vadim Nemkov. And I think it's a fight that he's going to be able to win. Vadim Nemkov should be able to go power for power, strike for strike with Bruno Cappelozza, and he should be able to win. Give me Nemkov by second round knockout. On to our next one. Originally supposed to be Magomed Karamov versus Jason Jackson. This fight has turned into Ray Cooper III versus the ass-kicking machine Jason Jackson. This is a very difficult fight for Ray Cooper III. I don't know why Ray Cooper III is the fighter to step in for this one, because he just lost to Derek Brunson 3 months ago. Brunson found some success wrestling. Brunson looked good in that fight for what Brunson is at this point in his career. And Ray Cooper III is going to look to strike with Jason Jackson. I don't think Jason Jackson is going to allow him to do so. Ray Cooper III has not looked like the same guy since he beat Magomed Karamov for the belt in 2021. I'll just be honest with you. He's not looked like that same Ray Cooper III. He missed weight in the Carlos Leal fight. That fight was at 170 pounds. Then he beats Brett Cooper in his next fight. And then he goes over the limit at 186 against Derek Brunson back in November. And now he's got to make 182 for this Jason Jackson fight. Obviously, the ass-kicking machine Jason Jackson usually fights 170 pounds, so not going to be that tough a cut for him. But, I mean, Jason Jackson's coming off a win over Yaroslav Amosov, and that guy looked unbeatable at one point. And he puts down Amosov, huge shots in the feet, puts him down. Jason Jackson, guys, hasn't lost a fight since 2019. Jason Jackson's very good. This guy can really wrestle, and his striking is evolving as well, like you saw in the Amosov fight. However, Jason Jackson is not going to look to strike in this fight because he has a clear pathway to victory in this one because of the wrestling. And it's something that's really interesting with all these fights. They're all 3 rounds. Even the main event between Hernan Ferreira and Ryan Bader, that's a 3-round fight. This is a 3-round fight too. And I don't think it's that controversial of a pick that Jason Jackson is going to mop the floor with Ray Cooper III. This is not going to be competitive. I think Magomed Karamov and Jason Jackson was going to be competitive. This fight is not that competitive. Jason Jackson will have his way on the ground. No matter where he wants it, Jason Jackson is the better fighter. On the feet, I think it would be tough, but I still think Jason Jackson could have a chance because I think Ray Cooper, even at 31 years old, I don't think Ray Cooper is the same guy. He just looks like he's fallen out of love with the sport, if we're being honest. And I think Jason Jackson dominates. So, yeah, PFL is going to lose yet again. I have Bellator up 5-0. Going into the co-main event, I like Jason Jackson in this one by decision. Co-main event. Impa Kasanganay, Johnny Eblen. I really like Impa Kasanganay. I've always been a fan of Impa Kasanganay. Kasanganay, I liked when he fought in the Contender Series, when he beat Anthony Adams the first time around and turned it straight into a victory against Maki Pitolo a month later in the UFC. 2 weeks later for the UFC. I have always liked Impa Kasanganay. I was a fan of this guy when he lost to Joaquin Buckley, when he lost to beat Planetlikov, lost to Harris, lost to Magomed Aliyev over in Eagle FC. I have picked Kasanganay in every single fight he has had. I hate to say it, I'm picking against him here. I love Impa, I really do, and I think Impa Kasanganay has the best chance. I'm gonna say it. I think Impa's got the best chance to win out of any PFL guy. I truly think he does. He's the 205 champion for the PFL. He's really a 185 pounder, but he looked good at 205 in the PFL. And he caught out Ngannou at one point, so I'm surprised he's cutting down to 85. I think Kasanganay legitimately has a chance. I think Kasanganay's a better striker than Johnny Eblen. I believe that. Kasanganay's got pop in his shots. He is a guy who is going to throw at you and keep throwing at you the entire fight. He is a volume-style pressure striker. He looked good in the Josh Silveira fight. He wilted Silveira in that one. Silveira did not look great because of the pressure Kasanganay was putting on him. Kasanganay won every single round in that main event. He knocks out Martin Hamlin in the playoffs, right? He looks good making his way to the playoffs when he beats Osama El Saidi. He beats Corey Hendricks in a non-regular season bout, but then makes his way into the playoffs by beating Tim Karen by submission in the second round. Kasanganay has looked like a whole different monster at 205 pounds. He's going back down to 85 against a guy who's undefeated in Johnny Eblen. But I think Kasanganay's defensive wrestling is solid. I think Kasanganay is going to make Eblen really work for this takedown. I think it's going to be difficult for Eblen to get him down. If Eblen can't get him down, I think Kasanganay is going to give him a lot of problems. Truly. This is not going to be a walk in the park for Johnny Eblen. I think Eblen is going to win. I hate to say that I'm picking Johnny Eblen to win the fight, but I think it's very competitive. I think Kasanganay is going to win a round in this one. This might even go down to a split decision. Truly. I'm going to be cheering for Impa Kasanganay. I love Impa. Impa is my guy. But I think Eblen, though, with the pressure that he brings, no pun intended because that's his nickname, but the pressure that Eblen brings with his wrestling is going to be a lot in this fight. Because he's going to shoot more than once, obviously. It's not going to be just one takedown, Impa stuffs it, all right, then we're going to go strike. No, Eblen's going to keep shooting. Eblen will keep shooting, and Eblen will keep bringing the pace. And Eblen is a guy, once he gets in the ground, too, he is going to throw punches. As you saw in the Fabian Edwards fight, he was able to finish Fabian Edwards. It was 20 seconds into the third round. I know he drops Edwards. That wasn't really a takedown. But, and then didn't he spit at Edwards after, too? I think that's what he did. But Eblen's striking is getting better. Again, proof is in the fight with Fabian Edwards. But I still think Kasanganay is a better striker. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that. I think Impa can win a striking fight with Johnny Eblen. I think where this fight is won, though, by Johnny Eblen will be the wrestling. I think it will be. But Kasanganay is a tough guy to take down. He is a big guy. I know he's going down to 85 for this fight, but Impa is a very physically strong guy. Like, look at Impa Kasanganay. That guy is a very strong dude. I think it's going to be a tough fight for Johnny Eblen. It's Killcliff versus ATT. But I hate to say it, I'm picking Johnny Eblen to win the fight. I think Eblen is going to do enough. I hate to say it, but I can't pick against the guy who's undefeated. If Impa Kasanganay wins, he's going to be a huge star. Don't get me wrong. If Kasanganay wins, my goodness. All the hype in the world will go to Impa Kasanganay. He beats the undefeated Johnny Eblen. And I think this is the PFL's best chance to win a fight. I'm sorry if that gives away the main event. I think this is their best chance with Kasanganay. And I think Hernan Ferreira's got a good chance to beat Ryan Bader too. I just think Kasanganay's got a better shot to beat Johnny Eblen. However, I'm still picking Johnny Eblen by decision. I think Eblen, again, I think he'll be close enough in the striking fight to the point where he can get him down and really just control Kasanganay on the ground. I think Eblen's going to be able to do enough, but I do think Kasanganay will win a round. On to the main event. That is the UFC main event. There we go. Hernan Ferreira, Ryan Bader. I'm taking Ryan Bader, guys. Yeah, Bader's 40 years old. I understand that. Hernan Ferreira is huge. He's 6'8". Ryan Bader's 6'2". I get that. I think Ryan Bader is better than Hernan Ferreira. Now, okay. Again, this is maybe the PFL's best chance to win. Maybe not. I know Bader has been knocked out before. He got knocked out by Corey Anderson at 205. Vadim Nemkov knocked him out. But Bader is a lot better at heavyweight. He's a lot better there. He's defended the championship 3 times. I thought a lot of people thought Moldavsky was going to beat him. He beats Moldavsky. He beats Czech Congo. And then he beats Fedor in his last one. I think he's going to beat Hernan Ferreira here. I think he might wrestle too. I know Ferreira is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He submitted for Fabricio Verdum. He did not submit for Fabricio Verdum. He almost got submitted by Fabricio Verdum, but I believe Hernan Ferreira is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. I think they've said that before. He's from Team Nogueira, but it just seems like kind of they hand out a BJJ black belt to everyone. But Ferreira is decent enough on the ground, but that's where Ryan Bader can win this fight. But I also think he can win in a striking fight too. If Bader can close the distance, he's going to have Hernan Ferreira in some trouble here. Like, Hernan Ferreira had a good 2023, don't get me wrong. But don't forget, he lost his first fight in 2023 against Rizvan Kuniev. He lost that fight. And then he beats Scheffel, he gets in the playoffs, beats Maurice Green, and beats Denis Goltsov. Other than Goltsov, those guys aren't very good. Scheffel and Green are not that great. And he loses to Kuniev, who Kuniev, again, got overturned to a no contest. Kuniev, though, I don't think he's the greatest fighter in his own right. I don't think he is. He's the former Eagle FC heavyweight champion. Hernan Ferreira in 2022 lost to Ante Delia. He's not that great. He's really not. He's just huge and he hits hard, sure, and he was able to beat Denis Goltsov, and that is by far his best victory. But this is a fight where it feels like there are levels, and I think Ryan Bader is on another level, and a different level than Hernan Ferreira. the one part and the one point in this fight that Hernan Ferreira could be able to win, and this is why this is the pathway to victory for him, is the chin of Ryan Bader at 40 years old. Ryan Bader has been in some damn fights. This guy will be going into his 39th professional MMA fight this Saturday in Saudi Arabia. He has been around. He's fought a very long time. So Ferreira, his best chance is to chin him early. But other than that, I think Ryan Bader is the way better technical striker. Ryan Bader's got the wrestling advantage, and Ryan Bader should be able to win this fight. I'm taking Ryan Bader by first round TKO. I think it's either going to be by a knockout, where he's able to land it on the feet, or he takes Ferreira down and he just dominates with ground and pound. It's going to be one of the two, but I think Ryan Darth Bader is the all-around better fighter. And I hate to say it, but there are levels. Bellator as a whole, I think, is slightly better than the PFL, and I think this card is coming to show of it. I really think it is. Pico, McKee, Romero, Nemkov, Jackson, Eblen, Bader. Again, I think Kasanganay's got a good chance to win. I think Hernan Ferreira's got a decent chance to win. Other than that, I really don't. I don't see Braga beating Pico. I don't think Collie beats McKee. I don't think Santos beats Romero. Cappelozza, I think, is going to lose to Nemkov, and Jason Jackson's going to kill Ray Cooper III. The only part that the PFL could have a slight advantage in is that this is a PFL ran card. PFL is promoting this card. If fights go to the distance and they're close, they will likely go in the favor of the PFL. But I don't think many fights are going to go that way. I think a lot of these fights, Bader and Nemkov will be finishes, and that's where maybe Kasanganay will be able to win, in my prediction, because I think Kasanganay is going to have a close fight with Eblen, because if it's a close fight, they're going to give Kasanganay the scorecards. But other than that, Romero, I don't think he's going to have that competitive a fight with Santos. I don't think McKee is going to be all that competitive with Collar, and I think it'll be close, but I think McKee will win a decisive 2 rounds, and Jason Jackson's going to mop the floor with Cooper. So if it's not a finish, I think the decisions could get dicey, but this one between Bader and Ferreira will not be a decision. It's not going to go there. Ryan Bader is going to finish him in the first round because, again, Ferreira's big, he hits hard, but technically sound. He's not the best fighter. He's lost before and he's lost often. Ryan Bader, if he doesn't get chinned, is going to win this fight, and he's going to make light work of it. This is a levels fight, in my opinion. Ryan Darth Bader wins the fight by first round TKO. And folks, thank y'all for watching our PFL versus Bellator predictions here from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. If you haven't yet, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure you leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you do disagree with any of the picks. We'll be back for the next Bellator card, which is coming in March, with the main event being Carl Moore and Corey Anderson for the Light Heavyweight Championship from Ireland. Again, folks, thank you for watching, and Mamba forever.